Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kaylee and today we are back on our Halloween citycore island, BooVille. And today we'll be decorating the area right in front of resident services. The plan is to make a big pumpkin centerpiece, and then off to the side we'll also be making a little newspaper stand area. I love how this build turned out, so let's get right into it. Alright, to start we need to lay down some of our road codes, so we need to whip out our fancy terraforming tool. And on the idea of terraforming, could you imagine if we couldn't terraform in this game? I know some people have made their no terraforming islands in the past, and that's something honestly I don't think I could ever do, because as you might know from my previous islands, I don't do a whole lot of terraforming. Most of my islands are relatively flat, so maybe that could be something I do as a challenge for myself. But let me know in the comments if you've ever done a no terraforming island before, and if you liked it, or if it was like super hard for you and like not fun. Maybe I'll consider doing that as a challenge for myself in the future, but I don't know. I do, however, plan to add a second level cliff to this island, because if you watched my planning video, one of my build ideas was to have a highway bridge on the island, and that bridge itself would be the second level cliff. So I would want the bridge to be on the second level, and then at least a small part of land that connects to the bridge be on the second level as well, so the bridge just isn't just a really long strip of cliff that has like no purpose. But generally on this island there won't be a lot of fancy terraforming like organic shaped cliffs or any crazy water terraforming. Honestly, there might actually be zero water terraforming on the island. Since this is a city, it will mainly be straight lines of a bunch of roads, with maybe a few natural areas, but still I wouldn't really have any water terraforming or cliffs in those areas. But back to the build for just 1 minute. For the road, I've basically made a rectangular shaped road with a roundabout with a small 8x3 section in the middle, and this is where we're going to do our big pumpkin centerpiece. Originally, when I was thinking of what I wanted to put in this area, I was thinking of a parking lot. And I did actually make an entire build where it was just a parking lot in this area, and I ended up not liking it at all. It just kind of seemed like a waste of space, and it didn't really have that Halloween or fall feeling. It was just a giant block of road pathing with like a few cars. And that's not to say we won't have any parking lots on the island, because we definitely will, because they work great as like area fillers or transition spots. But in this area I just wasn't feeling it, because it was somewhat of a large area on the island and it just seemed like wasted space. So I spun my wheels for a little bit and thought of this rectangular roundabout with a big centerpiece, because I did previously mention that I wanted to have a centerpiece area on the island, so I thought this was the perfect place for one. But in this area I definitely wanted to use a spooky carriage, because I do love this item and I feel like there aren't many good uses for it, but it just seems perfect for this purpose. And then I initially wanted to use a spooky tree on either side of the carriage, but when I actually laid them out next to each other I didn't love how it looked, so I did just swap them out for a normal hardwood tree on both sides, and I liked that a lot better. Honestly, I'm finding it a little bit difficult to even use the spooky tree item. I'm recording this voiceover a few days after I made this build, and I've already built another section of my island, and I tried to use the spooky tree in that area, and again, I just didn't like it there either. So I'm not sure if we will actually use this item on the island, because it seems like a very hard item to work with so far. And to make this area a little more decorated, I'm adding in some of the spooky towers, which I do think is one of my favorite spooky items in this game. And then I'm also adding in a few of the lantern sets. And this item, I'm both happy it doesn't have the jack-o'-lantern face on the one side, and I'm also a little bummed that it doesn't. So I'm happy because you can use it for non-Halloween builds and just have it turned around and it looks like a normal pumpkin in like a little hay bale. But sad because in this instance I kind of wish it had the face to match the one next to it, because when it's turned around it just looks like a blank pumpkin, and so they're not really symmetrical, but it's as symmetrical as I can get it. And then to make this area seem a little more city or town core, I added in some street lamps on the corners, filled in the sides with some spooky fencing, and then added a garden bench on both sides because it looked a little empty on the sides. And I love how this little area turned out. I think it's my favorite on the island so far. Now that the centerpiece is done, I'm moving over to the little area in front of the resident services, and since our road code ended up being 2 tiles lower than the plaza, I went ahead and added a strip of brick coating to make kind of like a median for a difference between the road and the entrance to the plaza. And for this area, I'm adding in some trees to give the area a little bit of height because I am slightly nervous about making a citycore island that just looks too flat. So I do want to add in some trees and other items to give the island just some height. And then I'm also using a combination of fencing. So in the back, I used a row of hedges to again add in a little bit of greenery. And then I added in a row of spooky fencing in the front. And I went back and forth between the spooky fence and the iron and stone fence because I do want to use both on the island somewhere. But for this area, I decided on the spooky fencing. And then of course I needed to add a plain party lights arch for the entrance to the plaza. I went with the orange wood color here, but I might switch it over to the dark wood because I'm not sure if I'm loving the orange color here. But I'll just test that out on my own. To finish off this area right in front of the plaza, I'm adding a garden bench in the orange color on both sides, and then on the insides of those I'm adding in the spooky towers because this area didn't have anything Halloween related. And then as a finishing touch, I'm adding a phone booth to the one side and a drink machine on the other. And then the next section that we're going to work on is the newspaper stand. So when I was initially thinking of ideas to fill this space, I thought about adding one of the villagers' houses over here on a second level cliff. And I did go ahead and build that cliff up, and once I had the cliff built, I just didn't seem like enough room when you were actually up on the cliff with how much room the house took up. It just seemed a little cramped. So I scrapped that idea, took down the cliff and everything, and remembered that Tropikitch made this amazing newspaper design on the face cutout standees, and the colors used for it go perfectly with the color palette that we're using on this island. So I decided to add that to this island in this spot, but I wanted to make sure I didn't straight up copy her whole build. I wanted to still be my own area, but the construction of the stand itself will be the same, but like the surrounding area will totally be different. So this little mini stand is made up of 4 designed face cutout standees, and then behind that you use 2 stalls, and the design on the top is also the one that Tropikitch made, so the colors match perfectly. And then behind the stalls, to block off the face holes, we add 2 backwards facing bookshelves. These designs are just amazing. I wish I could create codes like this. And if you haven't checked out Tropikitch's island Nook, you definitely should. It's a retro fall city, and she basically made all of the codes used on that island, and they're just works of art. So I'll have her Instagram linked down below and the DA for that island because it's amazing and you 100% need to check it out if you haven't already. One thing I also wanted to mention during this video is that on this island I plan to add a bunch of other human characters, and I've actually been going through the process of creating those users and adding them to the island. For that, there will be a member-only video coming out this Saturday of me creating all of those characters, and I'll be going through the process of designing their exteriors of their houses, and then also deciding on what outfits I want them to wear because they will walk around the island during the dream address, which I think is super cute, by the way. And this is the first time I've ever created other characters for an island, and going through the steps to upgrade all of their houses so that I can customize them, I swear it took me like 4 hours to create 4 characters, and that's with me having a spicy switch, so I can only imagine how long that is if you actually have to find all the bells to upgrade the houses completely. But I am so excited to get to the point where we can actually start placing some of the houses. I've been messing around with layout options because I want a general idea of street layout for the island, and I'm really hoping we have room for all the ideas for this island, but sadly I think we are going to have to abandon some of the ideas that we had in our build ideas list in our planning video. I think the first one we might abandon is the townhouses build. I just don't know if we will have enough space for it, and I'm going to try to fit everything, but it's hard when a good portion of the space is just the pathing because the road takes up a whole 5 tiles in width alone. I guess that's just the struggles that come with citycore. But I am super excited to keep working on this island. I know this is only the second build on the island, but I'm loving it so far. And like I said earlier, I have been working on some other builds because the time between me filming the build and then recording my voiceover is off by a few days. So I've already been working on the next speed build, and even though that's only the 3rd build, I am still so excited to keep working on this island. which I think is a good sign because I don't want to get burnt out on this island, and even if I do start getting burnt out near the end, I just want to push through to finish the island because I think it is so worth it when you get to the dream address part and then you can see your whole island complete. It's like completing a puzzle almost. Something else I've thought about for this island is after it's done for fall and Halloween, transforming it into a winter version to kind of show that you can take a build or an island and transform it through the seasons. But my only hesitancy with that is, well, one is that it's called BooVille, so that wouldn't really make sense in winter, but also the dream address, because if I save the winter version, that means my fall version would be lost, and that doesn't seem like the best idea because I want my island to live on forever in the dream universe. But I also have an idea for a winter island that I've been thinking about, and it's not Christmas related, which is nice because the timing between Halloween and Christmas is less than 2 months, so that's not a whole lot of time to complete an entire island. But it being a general winter themed means I could continue it into the new year and it wouldn't be weird. And that brings up a question I have for you. I've heard a lot of people don't like decorating in the winter, so let me know if you're someone that hates the snow in Animal Crossing, or are you like me and it doesn't really bother you? To me, I just have to switch my brain a little bit when I design, especially since I haven't really ever seen snow. Like, I've seen ice, but I haven't seen like inches of snow on the ground before. So really the only inspiration are pictures for me when I go to design because I've never seen it in real life. But back to the video because we are nearing the end. I went ahead and finished the newspaper stand area with just some tables and chairs for the villagers to sit at, and then I'm filling in these areas between the beach and the roads with just an array of flowers, trees, and shrubs. And then I'm going to fill in the area off to the sides of resident services and next to the newspaper stand off screen, so you don't have to watch me just plant 20 trees because that gets boring. But like I said, we are nearing the end of the video, so I'm going to finish planting some of these trees and flowers and everything, and then we can take a look at the final product. But that's the end of the video. Thanks so much for watching. Before you leave, make sure to give the video a like, comment, and to subscribe to the channel. If you watched all the way to the end of the video, let me know if you're going to be working on a fall island this year. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends!